Hi my loves, how's it going? How you guys doing? Welcome if you're new, welcome back if you've seen me before. It's that time where we talk about monthly empties, and I do have a pretty good size basket full of empties. First heck empty is this Olaplex hair oil. This is the number 7 bonding oil, and as you can see, literally this is all I have left. However, I do not care to use up any more of this. I think I've done my part with this. I've used this since I want to say either the end of last year or like the start of this year, and I have made a lot of progress. But it also took me, actually no, I think it was um last year at some point when I started to use this product, because there is a progress line. So I know the last update was back in, I think I filmed either in November or December. So yeah, it's been a long time with using this hair oil. And at one point, I genuinely did not think I'd have it done before the update. This is part of my beauty, no, it's part of my 50 Shades of Black project plan, which the finale is coming at the end of April. And I know there's a new color starting, but I won't be joining in with that one, unfortunately. I think I've done my a part with this project, so I'm going to skip it for a year and I'll see what color they bring back next year and then decide based on that. But I did feel like this hair oil was quite greasy, and I wouldn't personally recommend it. I think there's better hair oils in the market for either similar price point or even a cheaper one. But if you're thinking about getting this one, personally I didn't like it. I felt like it was too heavy and too, it's not even heavy, it was just greasy on my hair no matter how little I use. So I would just keep that in mind if you are ever going to consider buying this one. I also use up this Neutrogena T-Gel Oily Scalp Shampoo. This has got salicylic acid in it, and I really like this one. I think it did a really good job for my scalp, and my hair felt a lot better, cleaner, fresher, and I really feel like I did not struggle with dandruff as I have done in the past. So this is definitely going to be a product that I think I bring back in time and time again. I like the somewhat of a routine that I have got going on, and this shampoo is really really good, and I really do prefer it. Of the T-gel shampoos I've used, I really like this one. I wouldn't get the Tata one because that one stinks like hell. But if you are looking for something to sort of help out with dandruff, I would recommend this. I actually really like this one, and my hair gets really oily really fast, so I just assume I also have like an oily scalp, so I get loads of build up. But yeah, this definitely does work from the first wash. I can definitely say that, and I kind of miss this already in my routine, so I cannot wait to repurchase one once my other shampoos have been used up. But I really like this. We'll move on to all of my skincare slash body care products. The first large one I used up was this Original Source Tingly Mint and Tea Tree. I use this whole thing by myself. I don't really think anybody else used this. So originally, I didn't buy this for myself. I just, it's what the family buys, and I thought like we'd collectively probably get around to using it. That's why I was in there. And then I don't think anybody else used it because either they picked up other scents or they bought other products to use instead. So I just ended up using the whole thing. It took me several months to get through this, but I do have at least every other day, so I do get through products fairly quickly. I like this. I like how minty it is. It does make you feel clean, and that's what really matters. But there's also one like the more like affordable, cheap, just grab and go sort of product. And I really like this. It does a job, and that's all it really needed to do. This product I've been trying to use up for months. I think I got this back at the start of 2024 when I gifted my friend like a bunch of pink stuff for her birthday. I don't even know if she liked it or not in the end, but do you know what? I'm gonna just stick to giving people cash unless they request something specifically. But this is one of the things I added in there because I noticed this was something that's like easy and quick to use, and I know she loves this. But I use it on and off. I sometimes felt like if I was to use cotton pads with micellar water to take my makeup off, it irritated my skin, and it made my skin feel really horrible. But also, it didn't really take off my makeup. I do feel like I still need to find a better cleansing solution for my eyes, especially when I do makeup or with certain types of products, because it can be very difficult to remove. No matter how many times I might use a cleansing balm or like a face wash or whatever it is, it doesn't always work. So this did the job. It lasted me since 2024, but that is because I was barely using it. And then towards the end, I was like, no, I've had this for way too long, and it's also sat open for a while as well. It takes up a good chunk of space. It is a thick product, and I was like, no, it's kind of got to go now. So I decided to focus in on it, especially this year, and then over the last couple of weeks I've been using on and off, and I finally managed to get done in March, and I'm so happy I did. Another easy win or like empty for me was this Nivea like deodorant body roll on thing, and I just use any product. Previously I used to use Mitchum, but I preferred them over the sometimes because I feel like sometimes I can get really oily, like not oily but like really sweaty. But then there was a whole situation that happened with them with the skin irritation for a lot of people, so I stopped using them. I haven't really looked into to see if there's any other products I could use, but so far I just use whatever I can grab. And this was an extra laying around in my mum's drawer which wasn't used before, so I was like, do you know what? rather than me going out and trying to replace it, let me just take this and use it because it's plenty of stock here. So I did that, used it. Wasn't okay product, nothing really special. I just buy what I can, and what works for me works. And most of the time, I'm thankfully okay. Things do work. So yeah, I'm kind of glad that this is also an empty now. I really, really loved this Red Bean Refreshing Pore Mask from Beauty of Design. I've used this all up and I'm so ready to buy another one. This I cleaned it up, it's empty. I used every last bit of this as I could. I got this back in 2023, I think, and I did a decent size, I think. Yes, I was older back then as well, and this was one of the products I think I ran and picked up. My friend used this, she got it afterwards, and she used it, and she said this is actually really, really good. And you can see a difference using this, especially if you have blackheads like me, or even just like with like really like large pores, you can really see this working. I also feel like it kind of helped out on my acne a little bit. It just made it calm down a little bit, even though I don't necessarily think that's what this is supposed to be for. But whenever I did have like any sort of really angry breakup and I would use this, it would also help with that. I do want to get this back into my skincare routine because I really enjoyed every last bit of this. However, I feel like I have a few other masks I want to get through before I even think about repurchasing this one. And some of those masks are also clay masks. So I think one of them is a clay mask. There's two other random masks, and there's like two others that are like sleeping masks, which I don't really like. But yeah, this was a really good product. I really like this, and I was really surprised how much of a difference you can already tell like a before and after. So I think if I use this every week, there would have been a much more bigger noticeable difference. But my only issue is I have a really hard time sticking to like some kind of a loose routine, or like staying on top of things like this, like self-care and all that sort of stuff. But every time I use this, I really was glad I used this, and I would always make sure to try and use this before any events. So in time it was Eid, wedding events, just like I knew that I had to like go somewhere, or like my skin needed to be at its best, I would try and use this one. I also managed to use up this Aveeno Baby Demexa cream. I originally bought this back in 2025 when I really randomly started to get really dry skin, literally right there, and sometimes it would be on the other eye, and I don't know what caused that particularly. I know that I went through a really long depressive period, but then I knew that I was really sick for a long time. It could have been loads of factors, but I don't really know necessarily what like maybe triggered it. Maybe it was the stress. I don't know. It like literally could have been anything because there was a lot going on. Um, and I got this initially just to use there, but then that sort of cleared up after a couple of months, and then this was just kind of sat in my drawer, and I was like, I don't really want it to get wasted, but also some products do expire really fast, and even though this says you can keep it open for 12 months, I didn't want to drag it out. And it had literally just been over like the year period of having this open. So I was like, no, I need to find a way to use it up. And then eventually I just used it up as a moisturizer, like all over my face. And it worked fine, especially at night time, because I feel like this was really good and hydrating. Um, During the winter, my skin has been very different. Like compared to in the past. I don't know what's going on. Normally I am pretty like very oily in the summer, and then in the winter I can be a little bit more like the normal side, but like my T zone will be mainly oily. But like I've just been surprised by a lot of different things. But yeah, I'm just glad that I was able to use that, even though this is more for like very dry, itchy skin. It did the job when I needed it to do, and it helped just hydrate or like soften the dry patches that I had in my eye. But thank God that hasn't happened again. I don't know what the hell that was about, but I'm just glad that this helped out initially, even though it didn't fully resolve the issue back then, but it did enough work for it to not be too obvious, and that's really what I needed at the time. But yeah, I don't necessarily think I'd go back out and buy this because I don't think I need it anymore. Another moisturizer that I used was this, I think it's Antipodes. I'm sure I'm saying it wrong, but this is the probiotic night recovery um water cream, and I actually really like this. I had my brother gave this to my mom, and then my mom was like, I don't really think I'm going to use it, so you can just take it. So I had this, and this came in like a little set of these two products, and this I use, and I really, really enjoy this moisturizer to the point I looked at where I can get it from, and thankfully Look Fantastic stocks it. It is a bit on the pricey side, so I don't know if I'd necessarily run out and buy it, and I already have way too many like moisturizers for me to even like want to do that, so like I'm good. But I really enjoyed this, and I had to basically just keep rolling this down so I can get as much product out of this as possible. And I felt like my skin just felt really like soft, supple, like well hydrated after I'd used this product. And I would use like a good like sized chunks. I'd probably use about like you know like a small grape, like a really small grape, like probably like that much of a size, and I'll just like have it all over my skin. I'd wake up the next day and my skin would still feel like supple, and it would feel like I don't know how to explain it, but it just felt really nice the next day too. And I really liked the product, so I could potentially see myself repurchasing this one. Obviously, I would have to wait for my no buy to end and also to use up a lot of the moisturizers that I currently own, which I will do an updated inventory for you guys in July, I think, at some point, because I feel like I do have some good progress made in some of those places. But yeah, I really like this one, and I'm so glad I was able to get to try to use it. So the last product came as a set with this serum. So this is the probiotic ferment revitalize serum, and this was not a bad product. Well, there goes my hairstyle because that one popped, and I'm gonna just try and get through the rest of this without anything else going wrong. But going back to the serum, um this is, it just says it's for most skin types, especially when skin is blemished. I don't necessarily know if this did anything for my acne when I was breaking out, but it was surprisingly like had shimmer in here, and I wasn't necessarily expecting that. So you can kind of, I suppose, maybe see it there, and it was nice. Like it made the skin look very like glowy in the evening, and I liked using this product. I'm not gonna lie, but I don't necessarily think I'd go back out and buy this one again because I don't really think it added much to my skincare routine. But it was fun to just use this. Like it was nice to have like a glowy, like skin before I go to bed, giving like skin of a killer Bella situation. But it was nice. I'm glad I got to use this, and yeah, it's sometimes fun to experiment with different products. Another serum I used that was the Laneige Bounce and Firm Serum. I don't really think this did anything for my skin at all. There is some like left in here, but literally I cannot get any more out, and I don't care to get any more out. Like this is done for me. I It felt nice in the skin. I don't. I would also be very careful. Initially, when I was pumping this, I would take the thing and I pump it on my skin, but it will suck your skin in, and that hurts. Don't do that because I learned from several mistakes. That's not a fun experience, I'll tell you that now. But this serum, I don't really think it did anything. I know this says it's supposed to like make it bouncy and firm, whatever that means. But I don't really think it did any of those things for my skin. And my skin didn't form. It felt like slightly tighter after using it, but like I feel like there was no longevity to that. It's basically like I would have it on my skin. It would the sensation was there, but then it's not lasting. So you'd wash it off and it's kind of gone. But like there was no noticeable difference to my skin in any way for using this product. Um, so I just feel like this was such a waste. But I did get this in like a beauty bundle. I think it was a curated box, either Look Fantastic, Cult Beauty, or Boots. They did a K Beauty special, and this is part of it. I don't remember because these are usually the places where I'll buy curated skincare boxes, or even sometimes ASOS. But I know I didn't buy this one from ASOS. But yeah, I'm glad it was nice to use. It felt cooling on the skin though. I think that was a nice experience, but I don't really think it did anything for my skin, or at least nothing visible for me to like say that this worked. And I, for that reason, I wouldn't really go back and buy this. But it's a cute like pink product. Like it is fun, but it didn't really make any difference. There's no point in me ever repurchasing this again. Another serum I used up was this Ordinary Niacinamide 10% and Zinc 1%. I was going through serums this month. This I have been using, I want to say, since maybe the start of the year, if not January, then definitely from February. I think it was January. I've just been trying to use the product because I've had a lot of breakouts, and I actually picked this one up last year when I wanted to recycle some makeup from Boots, and picked this one up because I was like panicking picking up something to buy, because at the time I didn't realize that if you open your voucher you only have 5 minutes before it expires, which is so cheeky. But yeah, then I was running around, didn't know what to get, so I just went into the till and I grabbed this because there was literally nothing else that I could get. But I use this. I don't really think it worked though, and I also don't like the formulation of this product. Like it was nice on my skin. It kind of helped a little bit with my acne pigmentation that was left over, and sometimes would help just slightly, ever so slightly, calm down my breakouts. However, I just feel like you had to be so specific with the amount that you use, because it will start to pill under other skincare products. It doesn't work well under like certain products. It will also sometimes cause other issues as well. It will become very like foamy, which isn't a nice thing. And then that will definitely be a case of when you go ahead and put foundation on your skin afterwards, it's gonna like where the foam has sort of dried down, it's gonna make your foundation look very patchy and it's gonna cling on to that place even more. And then eventually it will lead to like pilling. Another body lotion I used that was from E45. I was trying to fly through as many things as I could this month, and I feel like there was a lot of products that had maybe like a little bit left, so I tried to really focus on them. This was part of my 50 Shades of Black project plan as well, so I'm glad this is done. And literally, the black is just what the expiry date is. Even though I had some more time to use this, and this doesn't expire till like 2027, I because the finale is at the end of this month, I really wanted to use up and move out as many products as I can from that project pan before it comes to the end of it. And there is a lot still left to go, but it's in my head it's still a lot, but to others they will be like, no, that's literally just a few, calm down. But then there was two body lotions left, and it kind of just in my head it made sense for me to use this one up because I knew that this was something that I could definitely finish, whereas the other one I didn't really think I could. Even if I just used that, I don't think I could have finished it till the finale. So rather than having like a product laying around that was untouched, I thought, let me just switch what I'm doing and just focusing on this one. I really like this. My skin felt hydrated. My skin felt good after using this. No irritation, nothing like that. That's what I kind of needed, just something good, basic that works. And this did the job. I have quite a few other body lotions. Some of them I don't even know how I end up getting them in my collection, but they somehow do. And I think that might just be because like they get thrown into beauty boxes or like the free gifted purchase or whatever it is. So yeah, I sometimes end up with so many without even meaning to end up with so many. But this was a nice product. Eventually could see myself repurchasing this one again, and I don't think this is too expensive either. So yeah, it's a nice, cheap, go-to, easy product to use, and I'm happy with this. I use up this hand cream from Marks and Spencer's. This is the grapefruit and ruby orange one. I didn't actually use it up as a hand cream. I use this up as a foot cream instead because I was previously using up specific foot creams from Boots that I bought, but they weren't really doing the job. And then I have so many of these lying around that were really old. And rather than them just expiring and me having to toss them, I decided that I'm gonna just use up all of the really old things, especially anything that I have from pre 2024. Obviously, I need to use and focus on stuff from 2024, but the main thing is to use up anything before that, and this is one of those products. The last skincare product I want to talk about is this from L'Oreal. So, first off the bat, this was a gifted item, which I'm so surprised I even got, but I was so gagged. And this was their Glass Skin Hydrogel Glow Mask. So you need to keep on for about 90 minutes. You can probably keep on for like a little bit longer. It basically just dries down and sticks to your face. It's very similar to what I think the Medicube face masks are like. And I actually quite liked this product. I do feel like it helped with getting some of that stuff out. And my skin, it did give your skin like a nice like glowy look to the end of it. But me being stupid and me being who I am, I use this as like a self-care mask situation before going to bed. And I won't lie, it did make my skin look very glowy, very soft, supple, just like beautiful. I just think that the word glass skin is thrown around a lot, and I don't think this. Obviously, to get glass skin, you have to use a very specific routine and like I think quite a few products to get to that point. But if you're looking for like a nice, dewy, healthy glow to your skin, I think this is definitely something to look into. I actually really like this mask, and I can see myself buying this one again just to use that. This is what it looks like. This is like a new product that they've released as well this year, and I actually really enjoy this surprisingly. So I'd probably pick up some every now and again if I ever need to, like before an event or anything like that. But I really did enjoy this, and um I don't feel like I got to really enjoy the experience because while I was doing this, I had to do something with my mom, and then everyone was just there, and then they kept like just like saying the silliest things. I was laughing the whole time, and the mask would keep like coming off my face, especially like where I was laughing. So that was a little bit annoying, but I really enjoyed this while I was using this. So definitely something I would go back and repurchase myself though, because I did actually like this. Now that that's all done, I've got just perfumes and makeup bits left to talk about. So we'll do a little brief thing on perfumes. I had 3 samples and I'm so glad I used them up. I'm doing a perfume project pan over on TikTok, and I try and focus in on 5 products every single time, every rotation. And usually if I've got samples, I'll have about 2 to 3 of them, and these are the 3 that I had. But I don't think I'll be repurchasing any of these scents. Like they were okay, but they they wouldn't be enough for me to want myself. And I think there's other scents that I preferred. If I was obviously given it or gifted it, I would still use it, but I wouldn't go out my way to buy them. So One of them was the Kiali Freedom Musk Bouquet number 27. This is one of the new scents. It was an okay product. I just, if you love musky scents, I think you'll like this. It just wasn't for me. I use the Glossier Eau d'Eau. It's a DOUX. I'm pretty sure I'm saying that wrong anyway. This is okay. This smelled a little bit more on the fresher sort of side, but it wasn't one of the types of scents I necessarily loved that much. It was okay. Glad I got to try it out at least before buying like the full perfume thing on my skin, but I wouldn't go back out and buy this one. And the last one was Cinemusk Abed Ombre. And again, it was okay, but I wouldn't go out on my way to buy that one again. I think they've got a couple of other scents which are nicer, but I'm glad I got to use up at least 3 samples, and that takes my perfume inventory down to 45, which obviously includes samples and everything else in between too. So that's not too bad, all things considering, but I'm glad I got to use up these 3 products. Lastly, makeup. I have a couple of empties. One of the first things I want to share is this Huda Beauty Easy Bake Setting Spray. It took me some time to use this up, but not actually that long. So this was that line is from February, that line is from January, so it didn't take that long for me to go through this product, but I wouldn't really like recommend it because I felt like this product was very leaky and it can be quite hard to use. There was 2 issues with this. The ball would get stuck and this would leak, and then sometimes when it would leak, when you push this down to like spray, it gets stuck, and then you'd have to like really play around with this to get it unstuck itself so that you can continue spritzing yourself. And I feel like there was a lot of issues with this. I feel like with Huda, she has some really promising, really great products, but her packaging really lets her down, and it's really annoying because the last thing I want is having spent, I don't know how much is like £28 or £25 on a product that then leaks, and then it wastes about a good like fifth of the product, which is actually really sad because like yeah, I want to like buy stuff, I want to use things from a brand, but I also don't want my money wasted like this. That's a bit annoying and also frustrating. Also, it's hard-earned money that you're obviously trying to spend on the brand because you like and you want to buy and support the brand, but then for stuff like this to happen, I think it's kind of just unfair. But yeah, I glad I got to use this up. I do have 2 more, one full size and one mini, and then I'll have to see if I'm going to repurchase one again. Like, it's nice, but I also don't think the longevity works for people who have oily skin. Like, I've used this, like I've tested this out wearing it oily skin, but running around with makeup for a wedding and just other things, and I don't necessarily think it has the same longevity as sometimes people were making it out to be. I think if you have maybe dry skin or like normal skin, it's very different. But I just don't think it's the same thing for everyone, and it just didn't really work for me. But yeah, another product I used up was this gloss. This is another Project Pan gloss. So was that product that you just saw beforehand, and I'm really trying to focus on using as many glosses as I can, and I managed to use this one up for last month. There's others I made progress on, but we'll talk about that in the next month's MTs. But I'm glad I got to use that. It is literally just sat on my work desk and I managed to get as much use as I can. There is some product in there, like right at the bottom, but the problem is, I don't even know if you can see that. The problem is, it's really hard to get out, and I do not want to take the stoppers out. If I do that, it's going to be a messy, like a sticky mess, and I don't want to have to deal with that. I already made a mistake once this year, and I'm not planning on doing that again. But yeah, I'm glad that I was able to use this up. This is from 2020, by the way. Such an old gloss. I really need to go back from my collection and get rid of like the really old products. But yeah, I do still declutter anything that's I feel like it's expired because there's no point in me trying to pan something in that sense. But I do still feel like I have some ways to go with my inventory, especially glosses, because it's actually ridiculous. I think now I'm down to 158 from 161, which isn't, well, technically 162 down to 158, which isn't that bad, but I do need to play catch up a little bit, and that is something I'll be doing soon, hopefully. Um, Another product I used up was this lip pencil. This is from Colourpop, and this is the shade Minuteman, and I really like this. This is literally all there is left to this pencil, and I'm so glad I used this. These are some of my oldest lip pencils in my collection, and this was part of I think I did part of my rolling project pan, so I guess spoiler alert for that, but I really like this. I love the creaminess of this, and I love the color of this too. I would eventually buy this one again, but I think I literally have the dupe in my own collection because I bought stuff from Yes Styles, and it's literally, I can't remember the name of the brand, but it's got the same name as all these Colourpop colors. So I don't know if they've just like, I don't know what's going on, but I found that really interesting. So I don't know if it's the same brand, just like having a different name, like to sell in like on Yes Styles, but it's literally the actual product names for the lip pencils are the same, and it matches the colors I already had. And I was so shocked, but because I literally have another one of these in my collection, I'm in no rush to buy anything else from Colourpop. And also, I have so many lip liners that they will last me at least 5 years, so I don't even need to think about repurchasing a new lip pencil. And if I do, tell me to calm down, please, because sometimes I forget. But this is a nice product, really like this. I'm currently panning another lip pencil, and after that I think I will go back and pan some more of my Colourpop ones, because one, they're easy to use, but two, because they're creamy, they just sit really nicely in the lips. Lastly, I've finally finished my elf face duo or face palette. So this is what it looks like. I do need to clean it out, but I managed to finally use this up. I was focusing on the highlighter because that's what I had left, and the highlighter was a little bit too deep for me to use like on my cheeks, especially if I was ever going out the house. And so I had to be very careful with when I did makeup for those instances, or if I knew that I'd end up having to leave, because it would just leave like a shadow, and that wasn't very nice. So I ended up using this up, and I tried to use this as like the main highlighter on my inner corner. And when I knew I would be at home and I wouldn't have to leave the house, I would just use it on my cheeks as well. And sometimes I would just use it on my eyes too. Like if I was doing eyeshadow and I'd maybe gone a little bit like too like deeper of a shade, then I'd use this just to like add a bit more like shimmer to it, but lighten it up as well. So it was nice to have use this up. I'm glad I'm able to get down one face palette this year. I have another one of these elf duos I really want to use up, and I think I will roll that in next into my project pan, and I think that'll be a nice color for the summer to use, and I'm really looking forward to that. But I'm glad this is finally done, because I at one point I was getting really frustrated with the highlighter, and also once I repressed it, it wasn't pressed in hard enough, which meant that this product was just cracking and I was losing chunks of it anyway. So I wouldn't really buy this one again. I don't think this is still available anyway, but I do find that a lot of the products, they get old, then they start to dry out, and then they start to crack, and then it will just be cracking in chunks, so you'll lose like chunks at a time. So for that reason, I wouldn't be buying this again. I also don't really like face palettes that much. I prefer using individual products because I feel like I can just like mix match them a lot easier, and I prefer just use like a single item rather than a face palette. And because of that reason, unless something really stands out to me, like maybe the Hourglass palettes or like something else, I don't think I want to buy any more face palettes, because it just doesn't make sense for me. But I'm so glad that this is done. That is everything for today's MT video. I hope you guys enjoyed some of that. I'm so glad to have used up some of these products, and the fact that I have got even 4 MTs for makeup this month is great. But all of these products are leaving my collection, and a lot of these are just going to get recycled, which is so nice. I'm kind of sad that I only had 4 makeup MTs though. I was hoping for a little bit more, but I know that for the month of April, I probably will end up having a lot more, because I'm going to be back to doing like more makeup regularly. Because the last 2 weeks of February and the first 2 and a bit weeks of March, I wasn't really doing much because of like fasting and then not really being too well, so I didn't really do that much makeup in that period. But I did make progress in some of the other like products, so I do think I'll be able to catch up in April. But to date, I've got 23 makeup MTs, which I think is pretty good. My goal is to get to 75. I'm hoping to hit 100, but I feel like 100 is quite a stretch. So if I can hit 75, I think that'd be really cool, and I think I can do it. But we'll just have to see. But that was everything for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you next week. Bye.